So what are we doing? Guitar tutorial? Yeah, I can't actually play guitar. Hey guys, this is Rob from Riddim Fuski. What I want to cover today is creating a theme in a track, and in many ways that's kind of more important than technicality. One of the most important things that you need to think about when you're making a tune is how are people going to remember the tune. So there's a load of different ways this can be done. Obviously the tune has to be strong, but you could have maybe a memorable vocal. You know, if you hear the vocal like "stop acting like that," you know, you kind of know straight away what tune that is. It could be a really memorable melody line like Dr. P Big Boss. I'm not going to try and sing a rendition of that, or in this particular case here, the track I want to talk about is Big Riddim Monsta that I did with 12th Planet. I just wanted to kind of tell the story about how that came about, show a little bit about how the intro is constructed. I'm not really going to go into the actual drop on this because this isn't what I want to do a tutorial about. So for those of you not familiar with the track, I'm just going to quickly play through the intro first, and then I'll kind of explain a bit about how it came to be and what the thought process was behind it.
Is under attack. Ready your shields, prepare your swords, and defend the garrison. Yo, Dodge, how was that?
Yeah, it's pretty good. The horse noises were very realistic. Absolutely had me there. Felt like I was in the field. I think you could do a little bit better with the screaming and shouting.
Okay, I'm on it.
Alright, so obviously a bit of an interesting concept for a tune. It kind of came about as I was trying to think of something to do with John, 12. I kind of wanted something with a bit of a sense of humour to it, because both of us are kind of fairly off-the-wall characters at times. So what I came up with originally wasn't really as it was originally. I just had this idea of we should have this dramatic kind of Game of Thrones theatrical intro, you know, something like some kind of orchestral score, and then it cuts to like the space bar, and then suddenly you're in the studio. So it's kind of going from being non-diegetic to diegetic audio, if that makes any sense. So it's just suddenly like a recording of the recording. So when we kind of sat down to record this, the first thing we started off with was just making a kind of orchestral intro. Okay. So that's kind of the main motif that kind of starts it off, and this is just a contact instrument. I don't think there's even any processing on it at all. No, it's literally a couple of layered up choir and staccato strings, things from the Contact Factory library. So I took 3 patches, layered them up, and made this kind of thing. And the idea is obviously when you're creating a build is to kind of create some kind of energy and movement and expectation of the pacing. So it kind of builds throughout the first part and then the second part of the 16-bar intro here, and kind of gains momentum as it goes through. Everything's done in blocks of 16 bars, as I would always kind of do bits of my tunes. You've got a 16-bar intro here, and then a 16-bar build up here, and then the drop is here after after 32 bars of intro and build. It's got some just kind of random sound effects that I found. This will have been from a combination of sample packs and just going on the internet and searching on YouTube and stuff like that. So there's thunderstorms here. It looks like I've got 2 different thunderstorm samples. And there's another thunder crash here. So it's all about kind of pacing. So I put this other second thunder crash here halfway through the first 8-bar phrase, just so it's kind of everything's kind of on a grid, if that makes sense. And then it kind of builds up here, so we've got some extra rain, and then it looks like there's another layer here. Okay, so that's the same chords played with some kind of arpeggiator built into. Okay, so this is session strings in Contact, and there's like a phrase, like a kind of, which is effectively another word for an arpeggiator, I guess, on one note that's playing the same chords, and it looks like I've just EQ'd. I guess just rolled off the low end here so it doesn't clash too much. So it's just kind of layering up the same chords, giving more energy on the second half.
is under attack.
And then obviously we've got to talk about the the vocals, which is the main part. Now, most of this was recorded very crudely, actually. I can't remember if this was done on my iPhone or whether it was done... I think it was done with like a portable Apogee interface, but the point being is none of this was like massively professionally recorded. We didn't use a vocal booth or anything like that. And the idea was to kind of get this kind of audio that would sound like you're in the room and quite crude, shouted across the room when it kind of cut to the breakdown. So the intro vocal has been processed quite a bit. There's let's have a look what we've got on here.
Village is under attack. Ready your shields.
There's a gate, because probably the recording was pretty noisy. OTD compressor, which just kind of brings all the nuances out of it and just kind of makes it very in the front. Blur, which is one of Bitwig's kind of mono to stereo converters, just give it a bit of width. EQ, which I'm assuming I took off. Oh no, I didn't take the low end, but I just boosted the mids. That was probably because to make it cut through the mix, there was probably already the strings, there was a lot of probably noise around here in the high ends that was being occupied, and then there was the kind of percussive elements that were taking up space in the low end, so I guess I would have notched around 1K just because, not because the vocal sounded better like that, but probably just because it cut through the other elements that were there clearer, rather than side chaining it. Anyway, so there's other elements here, bells building up, and then it cuts to the breakdown here, and literally I think we would have found a sample of someone hitting a keyboard. Yeah, so there's literally a keyboard sample. And then everything's been automated to mute. This is a trick I do quite often with like, if I want to create a kind of, almost like an anti-explosion. So you've got like, there's a reverse sample here, for example, which looks like I bounced a long note on a piano keyboard. Okay, so I would have bounced a long note on a piano keyboard into audio, then reversed it. There's probably a reverse riser in there somewhere. Yeah, there's a bunch of just kind of reversed sounds, which have just been something like a one-shot or a vocal with a reverb on it, probably at some point bounced into audio and reverse, so it creates this kind of like sucking effect.
And defend the garrison. Yep.
And then everything kind of mutes at the keyboard click, so it gets into this. Now the audio here was literally freestyle. This is the first take we did. So I explained to John, I was like, right, you know, we were doing this kind of crazy Game of Thrones, over the top, dramatic intro, and now we've just cut and you're just asking me how the take was, and it literally just was recorded like this. There was another guy in the room at the same time as well who kind of ad-libbed and shouted along, but I'll play you back the recording as it was. There's been very little done to it. It's been compressed and then the low end's been taken out.
Yo, Dodge, how was that?
Yeah, it's pretty good. The horse noises were very realistic. Absolutely had me there. Felt like I was in the field. I think you could do a little bit better with the screaming and shouting.
Help! Help!
Okay, so there's a couple of layers here. It looks like OK, I'm on it was on a different channel.
Okay, I'm on it.
Okay, so that was probably because we only had 16 bars, well no, 8 bars in fact to play with in terms of timing, because obviously when you're doing something that's very spoken like this, you're not really doing it to like rhythm and grid, so it's quite hard to make it time. So we had to chop, time stretch a little bit, try and have a rough estimate of how much time we have, but then I've layered bits over the top, chopped the audio and time, you know, mixture of stuff like that. You can see here the audio's been chopped to make space, and it's probably been, yeah, it's on stretch mode, so it's been stretched a bit as well to make it all kind of fit. You just got to kind of guesstimate it and get it roughly right, and then time up afterwards. So there's these vocals here, and then we just found some kind of office sounds for the background, you know, to kind of make it look like we had just cut to a very banal kind of situation where it was being recorded, you know. And then the build-up vocal here, where it's kind of coming in and it's being pitched, where he's screaming has been pitched up by 3 semitones.
Help! Help!
That's how it was recorded.
Help!
Kind of made it a bit more stupid, and then it kind of pitches down as you go here.
It's up! It's up! It's up! It's up! It's up! It's up!
So each one's just dropping down by a semitone to kind of give a sense of movement. I think when you're doing transitions and you're moving from anywhere where it's kind of building a build and it's going from one transition to another, you want to be announcing it before it kind of happens. So whether you're having something pitching up, pitching down, something getting faster, slower. So that was one way of kind of going along with the drums building here.
It's up!
And then obviously it's just kind of ending with the
Riddim Monsta!
on its own, with a drum fill and into the drop. Cool, so thanks for watching, guys. Like I said, it's not a hugely in-depth tutorial to start things off, but we're going to have a lot of stuff coming on a regular basis from the Disciple YouTube, so do get in touch if you've got any suggestions or requests on stuff that you'd like to see done in tutorials from me or any of the other guys, what you'd like to see on there. Hit us up on our socials, there'll be some links coming up on the page now, and you know, we'll do our best to see what we can get online on a regular basis for you guys.
Hit the crossfade.